Hello, coaches! Welcome back to another episode of Coach Better Spotlight. Today, I'm chatting with Lisa Stringellow, middle school English teacher and author of young adult fantasy novel Dark Tide, to be released in 2022. Between her full-time teaching role, being an author, and a mom, Lisa is also an EdTech Coordinator at her school. In today's Spotlight episode, Lisa shares what she's learned coaching her colleagues through remote and hybrid learning. Sustaining and building relationships in digital spaces has become so important over the past year. For coaches looking for strategies, ideas, and inspiration to make those virtual conversations come to life, this episode is for you. In the full-length podcast, we also talk about the ways that teachers can share successes with their colleagues, even when stress levels are high and time is limited. The development of this coaching role in her context, and of course her book, and the ways that she brings writing to life for her students in her middle school English classroom. To hear the full episode, subscribe to Coach Better wherever you get your podcasts. Welcome back to another episode of Coach Better. Today, I am super excited to be here with Lisa Stringellow. Lisa is a middle school English teacher at an independent girls' school in Boston and also the author of Dark Tide, to be released in 2022. Thank you so much for joining us today, Lisa.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Yay! I know that you are doing some amazing work both in your classroom and as an author and with EdTech. And so I would love it if you could share a little bit about what you're doing now in your school, give us a little bit of a background of you as an education professional, and then we'll kind of talk about what is interesting for you in your experience right now.
Yeah. So I'm going into my 26th year of teaching. So that whole time has been in the middle school, either fifth grade or sixth grade. And a good chunk of that time, I also have been either an EdTech coordinator or a tech integrator, some sort of support role for faculty in using and integrating technology with their classes. So currently, right now at my school, I am teaching fifth and sixth grade English, and I'm also one of the two coordinators for EdTech in our school, which is a grade 5 through 12 school. So we've got about 500 students. And so we support the faculty with all sorts of things on the academic tech side, with learning how to use different platforms and software and how to make choices and integrate them with their classes. So right now, our school is in a hybrid mode. So we're partially remote and partially in person. And then there are some faculty who are remote. So actually, I'm one of the remote teachers right now. I'm teaching 100% remote, even though sometimes my students are in person in the building. So lots of different ways of interacting right now.
It's so fascinating to see how different schools are managing this hybrid environment. I live in Bangkok and my husband works at NIST International School, kind of down the street from our house. And everything in Bangkok at this moment in time, when we're recording this interview, is pretty even keel. Like we haven't had any new cases in months. And so school is in session and it's totally normal. But I know other friends in other countries, and particularly in the US, where the situation is very different from that. For you, how is coaching feeling in this remote setting, supporting teachers? What is that like? Tell us about that kind of experience of transitioning into remote learning and then into hybrid learning and how you're supporting your teachers.
Right. Yeah, it's definitely been kind of a unique experience. And myself and the other professionals who work with EdTech are kind of learning as we go and adapting. I would say that the way I'm supporting faculty the most is through one-on-one meetings when I'm able to. I think people know that myself and the other EdTech people, will introduce something kind of in a faculty meeting or send videos out and share resources. But if they need help with a particular problem, they can ping us with an email, we can set up a meeting. So I've done several of those where, I'll just find a time where it works for myself and the other teacher, and we'll talk about something, or we'll share a screen and try to troubleshoot and figure out what will help them the best. So a combination of things, email, reaching out, setting up one-on-one meetings when that works, doing PD with our different divisions in our building or with the whole faculty, making videos. So kind of a combination.
I'm curious, I'm in a lot of Facebook groups for coaches and obviously talk to a lot of coaches all the time. And I'm curious, are you finding, okay, sorry, one more backstory. I also offer private coaching through my company, Eduro Learning, and I run a Microcredential program, an academic year-long program for coaches. And part of that is coaching with me or with one of our other coaches. And so all of that has always been remote. I've always, well, not always, but for the last 5 years or so, I've done a lot of conversations like this that are coaching conversations. But in the Facebook groups that I'm in now with teachers that are new to this kind of remote coaching, they're really struggling to find that comfort level of communicating and kind of building relationships and making that personal connection in a digital space like we're doing now. How did you find that? And how did you keep those connections kind of alive when you're not able to be in the same room with the other people that you're working with?
Yeah, I would say, the being flexible and being accessible, letting people know that they're not bothering me to reach out and say, I need help with something. I think it's different now that we're in this new school year because we have new faculty members who, were not colleagues of ours in the spring, who we knew, and also the same situation with our students. I have a whole new group of students who are new to our school who, didn't have the, that front loading of the relationships that we had in the spring to just switch gears. And so it's kind of building that trust and building that comfort and them getting to know us and then working with them. So I would say it's the same with the teachers that, we've been having all of our faculty meetings, I would say, since the spring on Zoom. And so I think that part is, people have gotten a comfort with. I remember the very first training that we did was back in the spring. I was asked to be on a team. We called it the academic crisis team. And it was a small group of people who were tasked with, if we were to have to go to remote learning. And at that point, it was late February when we were having these first meetings that, there was word out there that this could be a possibility. What would you do? What do teachers need to know? And so we put together a PD with some essentials on, Zoom. What is it? How do you use it? How do you set things up? What are some other interactive platforms that, people might want to use, like Flipgrid or Pear Deck, and had some sessions that people could choose between. And, comparing where we were there and then kind of where we are now, it's been a huge learning curve, but, I think the faculty has really adapted to it. And so, I take my cues from them as well with how much bandwidth do people have, and, when you should be introducing new things or, continuing with PD, or when you should just kind of sit back and say, I'm here when you need me, just let me know what you need, and, we can find a time to talk about it.
So this might be a really silly question, but when you said the phrase, how much bandwidth do people have, how are you assessing that as a coach? How are you kind of staying tapped into the level of stress and overwhelmedness that people are having? Do you have any like strategies or anything that you feel like you do that really allows you to have an understanding of that?
Yeah, I would say because I am an in-classroom teacher right now, so I have, being one of the EdTech coordinators is one of they call it a community responsibility at my school. So, it's something extra on top of my normal teaching load. So I can take my cues from myself a lot of time. And, when I meet with the team that, is making some of the decisions for, the EdTech and the training, myself and my co-coordinator, who's also a full-time teacher, can say, this is how we're feeling. I can only imagine how some other faculty members who might not feel as comfortable with different technology or whatever the issues might be, have a different student group, how they might be feeling. And so I think that helps a lot with gauging what the faculty is ready for, and then also thinking about how best to share things with them and what to ask of them as we go forward. So, and I think they also see that, like, whenever we do something, people are very grateful, and they're like, I know you've got full teaching load, and I know you've got kids at home, and so that I think that relationship and them knowing that we're kind of in the same boat as they are works a lot.
Yes, I have had a couple of different teaching experiences where I've been full-time coaching and some where I've been part-time coaching and part-time teaching. And as much as I am an advocate for being a full-time coach, because I think when you have scheduled classes, it means you're locked out of working with teachers for that period of the day or several periods of the day.
Exactly.
I do think being in the classroom helps you so much with coaching because you know what teachers are going through. You have to do reports. You have to do parent-teacher conferences. You have to know all the field trips and events that are happening in ways that when you're just a coach, you can kind of like be a little bit isolated from unless you're making a concerted effort. Thank you so much for watching today's episode. I hope you enjoyed this conversation. If this is a topic you want to dig deeper into and you're ready to explore in your own professional learning, please head over to edurolearning.com to see all of the great professional learning opportunities we have for you. You'll find registration dates for our next cohorts of COTAIL, The Coach, and Women Who Lead, and we only run each of those programs once a year, so you want to make sure you know when registration opens. If you're interested in any of those programs, make sure you click on the I'm Interested link so that you can get updates and be the first to know when registration opens. Also at Eduro Learning, we've got self-paced courses if you need to earn clock hour credits for recertification, and we've got downloadable workbooks to help take you through all different aspects of professional learning for you as an individual or working with the team or at the whole school-wide level. If there's anything you are looking out for or any questions you have, please reach out to us on social media. We love hearing from you, and join our Facebook group, Coach Better. See you next time.